But I was born and raised in southeastern Oklahoma, and that's why I talk like this, and I'm glad y'all are Texans because you can understand me. Most people can't. And in fact, we moved to Washington State for a year, and our little boy Samuel was, how old was he? 7. He was 7. He was he's in school and stuff, and so he was outside playing with all the kids, and he and he was just really, really vocal and everything. And so one of the girls comes in and desperation comes up to her mama and says, "Mama, what in the world is can't ya?" She said, "Honey, where did you hear that?" It's like, put it in a sentence for me. She said, "Well, Samuel says that do this, and then I say, I can't do that, Samuel. He says, well, why can't you?" And she said, "Well, honey, I think that means why can't you?" "Oh," she says, "I get it. We speak English and he speaks Oklahoma." She said, "Yeah, that's right. That's right." So I was born in southeastern Oklahoma. My mom and daddy were from there too. And they raised 4 of us kids. Mama had 4 in 5 years. They were madly in love. Her background was school teaching, and then she was the secretary for the superintendent of schools. And they raised us 4 kids on a ranch there in southeastern Oklahoma, just north of Atoka. Singing became a great part of our lives because we really didn't like to brand cattle. And we didn't pay very good, so we figured out we could sing. And so we went to singing in the bars and the honky-tonks and also at the school. My mama was the secretary for the superintendent, so she got one of the men there, the teachers, to start a country and western band there in Cowboy, Oklahoma at the school. And it wasn't a very big band. We didn't have enough people for a marching band, so they started this country and western band. And lo and behold, there was my brother Pake, who is still making a living at playing music, myself. Alan Jackson's bass player was in that band, who he picked up a bass and didn't know what end was supposed to go where, okay? He had no idea, couldn't even play anything, and is still playing for Alan Jackson today. You can even see him on the new video. So there's another guy that's still playing music, Gary Rayburn. There were so many musicians come out of that country and western band. Reba got her contract in 1975. I went on to college. Pake did his deal. I got married in the meantime. Within the first 3-4 years of our marriage was falling apart. There was emotional, verbal, physical abuse in our marriage. And we rocked along inside the ministry, Cowboy ministry, because he was a steer wrestler. Rocked along in the Cowboy ministry for years before I finally said, enough's enough. And ladies and gentlemen, parents, I put my kids in that environment, and I kept them there hoping and praying that God would do a work in my husband's life. The physical abuse stopped in 1995, but the emotional and the verbal abuse kept on. And I can't tell you how devastating that is. You might say, well, I don't hit my wife or I don't hit my husband. But the jokes, the barbs, the looks, the moods, the withdrawing, is just as bad as a slug on the face. In fact, it's worse because nobody will know. And I can still remember, and I haven't had that feeling in a long time, but I can still remember how my heart would just crumble when those things would be said to me. And a lot of them were standing here on stage, but a look from the back of the auditorium, that's all it took. I separated from my husband in 2001. We stayed separated for 8 months, and we went back together. And I lost the peace that I had. In 2006, I separated again, and I said, I want our marriage to work. I want our family to be together. I above everything, want a family to be together. I am not condoning divorce. I am for marriage and family 100%. But my life was falling apart. And my doctor told me, he said, if you don't do something, you're going to die from the stress. And it was mostly living a facade here. Although we said everything was happening, we would share it with people. And yet we would say it's getting better or it's on the verge of being cured. But it wasn't. It was always there. And she said, if you don't do something about your life, you're going to shut down, literally. So in 2006, I asked my husband to leave again. July of 2007, I filed for divorce. Now, a lot of churches would say, well, you're not supposed to be up there singing then. And my husband especially said that. And I said, you know what? If God wants to close the door, if he wants to say, Susie, sit down and don't sing anymore in front of people, I will. I'll be the first to sit down. But God has not showed me that yet. And, oh, was that an Oklahoma term? Showed me? God has not shown me that yet, and I will not quit until God says to quit. And in fact, because I think there's a message here, and it's not to say you should divorce. It's you should get help. But people should not live in an abusive situation. People should not be abusing other people and say they're Christians. And we see it all the time. It's as big in church as it is anywhere else.